Good morning, Hershey Library friends. This is Miss Rita. Welcome to our Carry and Craft Bullet Journaling Kid Edition. And you may be wondering, what's the big deal about bullet journaling? We can just type everything into our devices and keep track of it that way. But actually, we retain more. That means we remember more information that we write down with a pen or pencil, a piece of paper, and our brains. And that's because we use a different part of our brain when we write things down than when we type. And if you want to sound really impressive and learn a new word, it's the caudate nucleus. Caudate nucleus is the part of the brain that gets engaged when you write things down. But enough science. Let's get started. So, in your kit today, you should have a notebook, some pens, and a pocket to make, and a pocket making template if you like that pocket and you want to make it later on. You will need to pause this video and make sure that you have a glue stick or tape before you make your pocket. Now, if you go on the internet, you're going to find people who tell you that you need a special notebook, like a Moleskine, to do a bullet journal. That's not true. Any app, any notebook that you like will work. And you've got one to test out right now. You'll need a pen or a pencil. It's nice to have different colors, but you don't need them. And it's fun to have things like washi tape or highlighters or stickers. But again, those are not necessary. They're just icing. So why should you bujo? Bujo is a short way of saying bullet journal. You bujo because it's flexible. You can make it your own. It's affordable, so it's really easy on your grown-up's pocketbook. You make it work for you. You are an individual person, and you deserve to have an organizational system that fits you and your special brain. It's creative. You can be as fancy or as simple as you like. But to get started, Miss Rita is suggesting that you keep it simple. What can you track in your bullet journal? You can track your homework, your chores. Maybe you have an instrument that you're supposed to practice. You can even keep track of your library books, and that's where that pocket comes in.
The cool thing about Hershey Public Library is that you get a receipt of your books when you visit. Rather than writing all those titles in your bullet journal, we're going to make a handy library pocket to keep those receipts in. And if you like the pocket, you have a template in your kit for making more to use as you like. I'm going to show you how to make a library style pocket to hold your library book receipts in. In your packet, you have a piece of cardstock that looks a lot like this. It's got a long strip and two little side pieces. So what I want you to do is I want you to fold it in on that first dotted line, just like that. And then you can open it up and then fold in on those two side pieces. Then open it all up again. The big piece goes down, and then the two side pieces will secure the back of the pocket. Go ahead and take your glue stick and just a swipe of glue, and then you're going to push down, and there's your pocket where you can put your receipts. I'm going to go ahead and stick mine inside the front cover of my bullet journal. I'm going to swipe some glue around the outside edges of my pocket. Turn it over so the pocket side is facing out, and go ahead and stick it right there in my bullet journal. Now, of course, you can decorate it. You can write library books or whatever you want to on it, or you can just leave it plain.
One of my favorite parts of the bullet journal is the index. An index is a tool that helps you figure out where you've written things down. Maybe you want to remember something that you did in February. Well, your index will tell you what pages February is on. Later on, we'll talk about how to make something called a collection, where you write down important birthdays or maybe movies you want to watch, and the index will help you find those things. But in order to have an index, you have to have page numbers. So in just a minute, I'm going to ask you to pause your video and write down page numbers. We're only going to do the first 10 pages right now. And you can see in these green circles here, that's where Miss Rita likes to put her page numbers, on the outside corners of the page. So they're out of the way, but they're easy to see. So we're going to pause right now.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to number our pages 1 to 10 just to start. So like I said, I like to do it down here in the outer corner, and I'm just going to write my number 1 just like that. Turn the page. And now because I'm doing it on the outer corners, now I'm going to go over to the left-hand side and write my number 2. And then number 3. Number 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. And 10. The nice thing about the dots in your dotted bullet journal is it helps you place your numbers in the same place on every page.
I like to write things in code. Do you like to write things in code? Bullet journals actually have a little code to them. The fancy word for this code is signifiers, and it's a shorthand way of letting yourself know what's been done and what needs to be done. So if you look over here, you'll see an X. That's something that's been done. This little arrow lets you know that's something that needs to happen another day. You're allowed to cross things out if they aren't important anymore. So this code is something that we are going to use a lot. Sometimes you call that a key. A dot means a task is incomplete. You haven't done it yet. Then you can draw an X through that dot, and that lets you know that the task is complete. The arrows let you know that you're going to reschedule that task for another day. An arrow pointing to the right means that you're going to do that tomorrow or the next day. An arrow pointing to the left means you're going to put it in something called your future log, which we haven't talked about yet. And you can draw a line through your task when it's no longer important. Maybe something got canceled. Maybe you've changed your mind, but you are allowed to cross things out. Here's an example of a key based on Ryder Carroll. Ryder Carroll is the person who came up with the idea of bullet journals. I recommend that all my friends start with a basic key, especially that dot, the X, and the arrows. I also like that circle for events. That lets Miss Rita know that someplace she has to be, even if that place is just in a Zoom room with you. Once you have worked with your bullet journal for a month or two, you might find ways that you'd like to modify this. So take a minute to think about what you want in your key, and then we're going to pause. You're going to pause the video and create your key on page 1.
Go ahead and make our key. So I'm going to label it up here at the top. K-E-Y for key. And I'm going to use the dots. I'm going to use the dots to help me. So I'm going to put a dot on a dot, and I'm going to call that a task. Then I'm going to make a dot and exit out, and I'm going to call that task complete. Actually, completed. Okay, now I'm going to make a dot, and I'm going to turn it into an arrow pointing to my right, and that is what we call a task migrated. And migrated is just a fancy way of saying that you've moved it to the next day's list. And then this one, going to the left, I call task scheduled. And that means I'm going to take it and put it in my future log, which we will talk about in a little bit. And finally, I like to use those circles for events. That tells me that I need to go someplace, like the dentist's office, or that I need to log on to Zoom for a meeting virtually. And that's your key.
Turn the page and title pages 2 and 3 Index. And your first entry under Index will be Key, page 1. Look at you.
We're going to save 2 pages out for our index. So at the top of page 2, I'm going to write the word index. And then I'm going to do it again on the top of page 3. And of course, we already have an item for our index. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write key and the number 1 because it's on page 1.
Here's that future log that we were talking about. When you go on the internet, you'll find some very fancy future logs. But really, all you need to do is provide a space to record things that are coming in the future. So we are going to have a future log that is 6 months long because this is kind of a small bullet journal.
Our future log. So I'm going to write up at the top, of page 4, I'm going to write future. And on the top of page 5, I'm going to write log. Okay. What we need to do is we need to divide each of these pages into 3 sections. And the dots are super helpful. I already counted, and I know that there are 42 dots going down the page. 42 divided by 3 is 14, which means we're going to count 14 dots, draw a line, 14 more, draw a line. The way I do it is I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and I make a little mark. Now I have to do it on the other side because I like to make straight lines. Okay, now that we've got our 2 dots, we're just gonna take a ruler or anything you have that's straight, make sure the dots line up, and draw our line. And then we're gonna do it again. Now the nice thing is since we've already done it on one side, we can line up our lines and go ahead and draw our line on the other side. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months to go ahead and take care of. I'm not going to include December in this because December's almost done. But I'm going to go ahead and write January. You could also abbreviate it with just JAN if you wanted to. What month comes after January? That's right. February. Then March. And then over here on the other side, we need April. That's right. May. And now June. You could be sure in June that you put start, summer quest at HPL. Because of course we will have a fabulous summer quest this summer.
Don't forget to go back and add the page numbers for your future log into your index. Now we're ready for our daily log. This is where you will use your key signifiers or your code, because it's not really a secret code, to keep track of what's happening or what needs to happen. Notice that we can totally start our daily logs with today, an ordinary Tuesday. It isn't even the first of the month. That's what makes bullet journaling so flexible.
For our first daily log entry. So we're going to go ahead and we can put in that it is Tuesday and it's December 29th, which is 12/29. And then you need to start your list of what needs to happen today. So, for example, mine might say Bujo video premiere. And I need to change the Hanukkah books here at the library so I can make room for Valentine's Day books. And I have a Zoom meeting later when I get home, so I'm going to do one of my circles and say Zoom meeting. All right. And of course, since you're watching this premiere, we can go ahead and put an X through Bujo Video Premiere. And that's your daily log. Tomorrow morning, you're just going to start where you left off and put in Wednesday, 12:30.
You really have all you need now for a great beginning to bullet journaling. The rest of this video will show you some optional things you can do. You can do them now. You can watch and decide if you want to do them later. You can even come back to this video at another time and try them once you have some Bujo behaviors under your belt. Some people like having a monthly log in addition to the future log and the daily log. This is really good if you have appointments or events to keep track of. A really simple way to do a future log is to write the name of the month at the top of the page and a one-letter abbreviation plus the date down the side. Hang on, and we can do this together.
If you're choosing to make a monthly log as in addition to your daily logs, just going to put the name of the month. I'm going to start with January. There's only 2 days left in December after today. So this is going to be my January log. And so I'm just going to go down the page and using those dots to help me, I'm just going to write 1 to 31 because there are 31 days in January. 1, 2, and all the way down. Now, we're also going to put the days of the week here so we know what day of the week we're talking about. And of course, New Year's Day is on Friday. So we're just going to put a letter F beside the number 1. The day after that is Saturday. And then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And of course, after Friday the 8th will be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you'll do that all the way down the page. Once you have all your days put in and labeled for the month, now you can start putting in the things you want to remember for specific days. For example, I have karate class on Sundays. So on Sunday, January 3rd, I'm going to write karate. And then again on Sunday, the 10th, and Sunday, the 17th, Sunday, the 24th, and Sunday, the 31st. I also have a dentist appointment on Wednesday, the 6th, so I'm going to go ahead and write that in. What kinds of things do you have coming up in the month of January that you don't want to forget?
They're a collection of information that goes together. Books to read, movies to watch, bands to hear, birthdays, whatever you want to keep track of. Again, just a simple list will do. You don't have to doodle to do it.
If you wanted to add a collection to your bullet journal, you might want to add a collection of the books you want to read. Library friends are always telling me about great books that I want to read. So I'm going to keep a list here so I can keep track. So I'm not sitting here thinking, oh, what was that book they told me about? So I just watched the Enola Holmes series on Netflix over Christmas break. And there are some wonderful books by Nancy Springer. So I want to read the Enola Holmes series. I also heard of a great book called Girl Giant and the Monkey King. So I'm adding that to my list. And maybe you only have 2 books for now, but you can always go back and add it. Of course, I want to be able to find it again. So I'm going to flip to my index and write down books to read. And that was page 9.
Bullet journal inspiration is everywhere. YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest. You do you. But remember, the goal is to keep yourself organized and worry-free. Don't let being fancy hold you back from being organized, because this is your bujo. If you want to devote some pages to doodles, then do it. Just remember to include them in your index. If you find that you are writing the same thing on your list every day, you may want to make a habit tracker. You could have a habit tracker for making your bed, practicing your instrument, caring for your pet. Again, I recommend working with your bujo for a while before you add a habit tracker. So that's our presentation on bullet journaling. I hope you had fun. I hope that you have a bullet journal that is set up and ready to use. If you have any questions or comments, or you just want to talk bullet journaling, you can stop by the children's desk at the library and talk to me, or you can send me an email. And I'll see you again really soon.